Well, hello, my name is Eric, and I've been living out of this small SUV for the past 17 months. And today is day 3 of a 30-day series where I am posting daily vlogs about my life. Normally, I would maybe spend an entire week venturing off into a national park or something, and then compile that into a nice video with music and everything, and bring that to you to see. But I decided to do something a little different where I would post daily vlogs about what it's like to really live out of a car. And when I decided to do this little series, I knew that there would be some overlap. I knew there'd be days that would be very similar to previous days. I worked really hard on coming up with a 30-day list of different titles and different center points that each video will center point on. But I knew that there would be some repetition there because, let's face it, most people's lives every day repeat somehow. And for most people, that's their job. That's whatever they do for work. Obviously, it's something that most of us have to do. And that is something you do every day, or at least 5 days a week mostly. And so, same for me. So today is a work day for me, just like yesterday's video was showing you how I work. So I have to do some work today. However, I'm going to try to mix it up a little bit and try to show you something a little bit different than yesterday's video. I don't want to repeat the same thing every day. And on top of that, I will show you how I found places like this to sleep in, because I've been here for the past couple of days now, and it is gorgeous, it is quiet, and it is safe. And how do I find all those things? So I'm going to show you all that. The nice thing about today's work is it's not as much work. It's roughly 3 to 5 hours worth of work because I did half of it last night. So I'm hoping that I can get done with my job early enough that I can venture off to a new place and show you something a little bit different in this. And I will show you how I found that spot. So let's get some coffee in me. Let's get work started. And then I'll take you through the rest of my day.
The idea that finding a suitable, stable partner is difficult, sometimes even for those who like to have children. So Lisa Rudolphson.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and knock out this project for this client. I'll see you in a few hours, probably around lunch. All right, I'm breaking for lunch now. I still have a project to do for a client that's going to take about another 2 hours. And then I have to start on the edit for this video so that you have something to watch tomorrow. So I'm definitely not going to leave this area today like I was hoping. I'm getting a little tired of looking at this terrain. I've been here in this spot now for the past few days. And I was really hoping to see something new today, but it's just not going to happen today. But I absolutely will be in a new spot tomorrow. So you have something new to look at tomorrow. But this will give me an opportunity to talk a little bit about how did I find this spot. As a solo traveler, there are 3 things that I'm always going to look for when finding a spot to sleep for the night. And the first one is safety, right? I want to make sure I'm in a safe place for the night. 2 is cell phone coverage. I really want to get that cell phone coverage in case I need to reach out to anybody in any way. And 3 is quietness. I want to have a good night's sleep, right? So first one is safety. Now, the best answer I can give to you for how safe an area is for me is really just a gut feeling. I'm in new places all the time, so obviously I don't know how safe an area is or is not. I can only go by what I feel. Now, I could go the extra mile and go online, especially if it's a city, and just look up crime statistics or something in the area. But statistics are a general rule of thumb. It's not guaranteed that something good or bad will happen to you. It's just a number on a screen, and it's something you can certainly gauge. I'm not going to go into a place that has 99% high crime rate or anything. But again, you can just look around, feel it out, go with your guts. I think that's probably the number one thing that most van lifers or full-time travelers should tell you. They'll just say, hey, I felt like I just wasn't safe in that area, so I left. And I've done that before. First off, what I do when I go to pick out a spot for the night is I really strive to get there in daylight. And I usually do that about 99% of the time. I get to a spot like this in the daylight. First off, obviously it's pitch dark out here at night, And it's very hard to see some of these dirt roads where they go, if there's, you know, big dips in there in the road, if there's rocks or branches I have to go over with my car or anything. So it's obviously a lot easier to do that in the daylight. And it doesn't matter if I'm sleeping on public land for the night or if I'm sleeping in a city. The first thing I'll do is I'll get to that spot and I'll just kind of sit there for a little bit and I'll just kind of gauge the area. I'll look around. I'll see, how do I really feel about this? There's been times when I've picked a spot out for the night and then after being there for 30 minutes, maybe even an hour, decided, I don't know, something about this spot doesn't make me feel good, and I've left before. Now, that does usually happen in a city versus public land like this, because there's just nothing out here. Usually you find a big spot like this on public land, and you're gonna be fine no matter what. Probably happens a little bit more in a city, but obviously safety is number one. That is first and foremost. Two, cell phone coverage. I wanna be able to have cell phone coverage just in case I need to reach out to someone for any kind of emergency. I've never had like a real emergency happen where I needed to reach out to somebody, but I have had like a dead battery on my car that I do have a portable battery jumper that it wasn't jumping my battery. So I had to call my car insurance company offers like roadside assistance. I had to call them. Now I have Starlink, so it's not as crucial as it used to be for me. Before I had Starlink, if I had no service on my phone, I just flat out wouldn't stay there. Now, if I don't have service on my phone, sometimes I kind of like it because I'm like, oh, I won't get bothered in any way. But at the same time, I prefer to have at least one bar. That way, again, I can reach out to someone if it's a real emergency. Because the Starlink takes a good 5 minutes or so to turn on and set up. And I would have to take that time to get the Starlink set up, because I don't leave the Starlink on all the time. It's drawing power all the time from my portable power station, and I'm very limited on how much power I can provide to all of my electronics. So I have to consider that. So the Starlink will really only be connected when I'm working. I don't just turn it on for leisurely all-day use or anything. And that's a nice thing about having cell phone connection is when the Starlink is not on, then I can still receive a phone call or a text message, or if I just need to quickly check an email from a client or something for work, I can do that. Plus, a lot of times what I do for entertainment at night is just watch movies on my phone, because these areas get quite cold at night. It usually gets down to like the 40s or so at night. I've been in spots where it gets down to the 20s at night, and the last thing you want to do is just sit outside and just hang out. So I will often just sit in my car and watch movies on my phone. And that will certainly be a lot nicer to just do on cell phone data versus having to hook up my Starlink and run that. Because again, the Starlink draws power from my portable power station. So it's nice to have the cell phone connection. It's not my top priority list now that I have the Starlink, but it is something that I constantly am thinking about. And then three is, of course, quietness. No one wants to sleep in a very loud environment. I'm always wondering, okay, is this space going to be quiet enough for me to sleep? And while that's certainly a consideration and something that I'm going to put on my list, it's going to be the last one, because the first two are certainly more important than that last one. I've been in places, especially in a city, where I know that it's not going to be the quietest area, but it's the safest area, and it had a good cell phone connection or something like that for me. So those are the things I always look for. Now, how did I really find this spot? Well, that quick and easy answer is iOverlander. iOverlander is an app that is set up really for the travel community. And what it does is it gives you a way to look online to get all the things you probably are going to need. Finding places to sleep, whether that be in a city or an established campground or public lands like this. It's a place to find fresh drinking water. It's a place to find a dump station if you have a big RV. It's a place to find Wi-Fi connections or laundry or propane refills. It's a place to find pretty much everything you're gonna need on the open road. And that is 100% my go-to for finding areas like this. Even before I go to an area, I'll launch iOverlander and go into the app and then look into that area that I want to go to and see what is the camping scenarios in there. I 100% of the time do dispersed camping. I don't stay at established campgrounds. An established campground is something that you would pay for typically. So, you know, $30, $50, $100 a night, depending on what amenities it offers, like power hookups and waters and shower, and some of them have laundry mats and Wi-Fi and everything. So I don't stay at those, A, because that costs money every single night, and I do this nightly, and I'm on a very limited fixed income. So I can't do that. And B, I just don't really want to. Like, I have everything I need in my car. I have all the water I need. I have all the power I need, generally. I don't need anything that a campground offers me. And it's really hard for me to get over the mindset of that I'm just paying for dirt, that I'm paying someone $45 a night for dirt. I'm like, I can do that for free on public land. Those are the reasons I don't stay at established campgrounds. Plus, established campgrounds will come back to that quietness factor. In my experience, so many campgrounds I've stayed at will have somebody being a little bit more loud than you'd prefer, whether it's someone staying up all night, drinking all night, playing music all night, I've seen people with their TVs outside, literally playing, watching football games or something, and they're just being loud. So I prefer to be on quiet public land like this, where again, I know I can get that quietness factor that I'm going to strive for every single night. iOverlander is a community-based app, meaning the more that people use it, the more information it is provided to you in the future. So what I always do is once I find a spot like this, I will go into the app and I'll mark it and I'll say what the conditions were like to get there, whether it was a rough road, maybe you needed a vehicle with higher ground clearance, maybe it was four-wheel drive only. I will also talk about the cell phone coverage that is there. I will talk about the conditions of the camp at site. Was it level? Was I sleeping at a slant? Was it trashy? Was there a lot of trash left behind? All those things go into consideration. And then you can even upload pictures to the app. So for example, I'm going to use iOverlander to find propane. I'm pretty low on my propane. I'm going to have to get in the next day or two. So I'm going to go on iOverlander and I'm going to see where other people have marked that they have gotten propane refills at in the past. And then if they're nice enough, they'll actually list the prices and stuff. This is really all up to the person who's using the app to put the description in there. So some people put prices and some people won't, and some people put pictures and some people won't. But at least I know that those places offer that. And if I need to, I'll even call them up and ask them, how expensive is your propane refills. So finding fresh water, finding showers, finding Wi-Fi if my Starlink isn't connected or I can't use it for some reason, or again, before I even had Starlink, that's how I define public Wi-Fi, is all through iOverlander. A couple more apps you can use. You don't have to use iOverlander. You can use Campendium. It's a little bit more focused on, say, the RV lifestyle, and it's also focused a little bit more on established campgrounds. But as Campendium is another go-to, I can use it. It, again, doesn't list as many public land places like this, but it is one to use. You can use freecampsites.net. However, their app is pretty terrible. It's really more of just a web-based websites as you go to. So I don't like using that one as much. I don't find it to be as useful as iOverlander. iOverlander is really more of an app for your phone, which is going to be the go-to that I'm going to reach for to look for a place versus having to set up my laptop and turn it on and then launch the internet and go to this website like freecampsites.net and find some places like that. Now, if you're a person who feels a little bit more comfortable in safety in numbers, meaning you like to stay near other people and you like a little bit more infrastructure, you might like Harvest Toast. Harvest Toast is an app where people who own a business, usually like a bar, brewery, sometimes a small kind of B&B kind of place, like a hotel kind of thing, other restaurants, can actually go into this app, Harvest Toast, and say, you can stay here for free, and the hopes is that you will go into their establishment and then spend money. So let's say it's a brewery and they say, you can stay in our parking lot overnight. That's no problem. Of course, they hope that you go into the brewery and spend some money, right? Get some drinks, get some food, get some dinner, something like that. But it allows you to stay near other people. It allows you to stay generally in like a parking lot kind of thing. And there's a building there. So you know that you're around people. And again, typically that's a little bit more in, not a city all the time. A lot of times you'll find these places in a little bit open areas, but not remote areas like this. Like there's no brewery out here or anything. Harvest Host does cost money though, as far as I know, by the year, I think. It's been a long time since I looked into it. I'm just familiar that it exists, but it's certainly an option for a lot of people. And then another way I find places is honestly, just by looking. I can't tell you how many times I've been driving out to a spot, maybe I saw on iOverlander, or just kind of checking out an area, and I'll just see a place on the side of the road, or I'll see a place down a path that I go, hey, what's down there? And I check it out and I go, hi, I like this place a lot. I'll check it. I'll stay here tonight. So don't think that you have to go online to find a place to sleep when you do the nomad travel lifestyle. There's so many times that there's been places I found on my own that were not marked on any kind of app that I'm aware of. They were just a place that I found, and I felt very safe staying there. Have you tried this dill pickle mustard? I love this stuff. Now, depending on the individual, you may or may not want amenities around you like bathrooms and things, and there is not going to be a bathroom out here. Now, as a guy, I have a little more luxury in that department. I can just go over there and pee in the bushes or pee on the ground and do whatever I want. I do have a shovel here that I can dig a hole if necessary. But if you're someone who wants a bathroom nearby, which is totally understandable, then maybe picking out these kind of spots that are not far from a town. For example, I'm literally only like 10 minutes from Cathedral Gorge State Park at the moment, and about 15 minutes down that way is a small town of Pioche, I think. So there are places around me that I could get to, you know, a gas station or a restaurant or a public area that has a public bathroom in it. So there are those things. Also, I can go to either one of those places and get, you know, food if I was out of it, water if I was out of it. And that's another thing I think about when I stay in these public land areas is where's my next spot to find fresh drinking water. I do have 9 gallons of water with me, and that'll last me a few days, depending on how much I'm, of course, drinking or how much I'm using for cooking. It'll last me about 4 days with a little bit of conservation there, but it's something I'm always thinking about, right, is how far do I need to go to find water? And that's, again, where iOverlander comes in, and I'll find fresh drinking water on there. I just looked at the shot that I was recording of me in the back of the car here. And as I was looking at it, I was like, it looks like my brand new awning here is like falling apart and it's all in rags or anything, just kind of falling down the ground here. But it's not. I just pulled it back right now so that it wouldn't block my solar on the hood of the car because I'm charging my laptop right now. And so I just kind of, instead of just putting the whole thing away because I know I'm going to use it again when I go back to editing, I just pulled it back a little bit. So that's why it's kind of like drooping a little bit, but it's definitely in very good condition still. All right, now some people may get into the travel lifestyle or would like to get into the travel lifestyle, but they have to stay in cities a lot more than I do. You may have to stay in a city because of your job. You may want to stay in a city just for that safety and numbers reason. For whatever reason, some people just like to be in cities a lot more, but still get into like the van life thing. So if you're asking the question, hey, all the things you said were great, but I don't want to go all the way out in the middle of nowhere and sleep by myself. I want to stay around more people, or I have to be in the city for some reason. How do I find places to sleep that way? Well, again, you can use a lot of things I said in the beginning. First off, just listen to your gut. If you go to an area and you don't feel safe about it for any reason whatsoever, unless you're 100% feeling secure about that area, just leave. Go to another place. Again, go online, see what the crime rate is in the area you're staying. Sometimes I'll DoorDash for extra money, and of course there's no restaurants out here in the middle of nowhere, so I have to go into a city and DoorDash, and I'll usually be there for a good week or two DoorDashing, just like every night to make some extra money. And when I do that, that means I have to stay in the city because I'm not going to drive all the way out to the middle of nowhere to get a good night's sleep and then drive usually the 30 minutes or whatever it is to back into the city to go door dashing. So I'll just find a place to sleep in the city. Now, having a car is a lot easier for that than having a big van or RV, especially anything with like a pop-up or a trailer. Those are kind of dead giveaways that you might be in it sleeping, especially like a rooftop tent. A lot of people have asked me, why don't you get a rooftop tent? Well, I don't get a rooftop tent for a lot of reasons, but one of them is because if I was in a city stealth camping, that's what it's called when you have to sleep in a city, is called stealth camping. Then as soon as that tent goes up, you're gonna see that I'm sleeping in there. And a city is gonna be a lot noisier than out here in the middle of nowhere. So I wouldn't get much sleep at all in the middle of a city with my rooftop tent up. But when I go to a city to DoorDash, as I'm driving around making deliveries, you can get a pretty good feel for what places are safe and what places are not safe. And for me, door dashing, I'll be driving to an area and I'll get a good sense for a place and I'll see maybe a good street I can park on, or maybe near a park or near a neighborhood or something that I think, hey, I think I could stay there. And what I'll do is I'll just go on maps and I'll just drop a pin. I'll mark it for that place and say, hey, this was a good place to sleep at. And chances are I saw that during the day while I was door dashing. So then I'll go back at night and then again, just sit there in the car for a good 30 minutes or so and get a good feel for it. How does this area feel now that it's nighttime versus daytime? iOverlander is an app that will show you where you can park in a city. So again, that term is called stealth camping. iOverlander just really calls it like street parking or anything. They don't go as fancy as calling it stealth camping. The nice thing about iOverlander is you can do a search for what is important to you. So if you want to only find established campgrounds, you can do that. If you only want to stay in public lands like this, you can search for only those kind of areas. And if you're looking for street parking or staying at a truck stop or anything like that, then you can also just go in there and look for those places. And I guess the nice thing about a city too is that you really don't have to worry about cell phone coverage. You're most likely going to have cell phone coverage anywhere you are in a city. It's just really going to come down to the safety thing and definitely the quiet thing. Are you going to get a good night's sleep there? But a quick rundown of the places I have stayed at when I've stayed in a city is street parking, usually somewhere around a neighborhood or in fact in a neighborhood. And if I do that, I'll always park in between two houses, not right in front of somebody's house. What I prefer to find is a street that's got lots of other cars parked on it because I can just blend right in. When you're a solo car parked on the street all by yourself, it's a good question to other people, like, why is that car there? Especially if you're a new car to the area, like you're visiting the area, you're driving through, you're on your way to somewhere else, and you're stopping over for the night looking for a place to sleep. Neighbors are probably gonna know when a random car just shows up on their street. So you might have the cops knock on your window or anything and tell you to move along at 3 a.m. So I personally like it when I can just park in between a couple other cars. Another place that I've stayed at, honestly, is hotel parking lots. A hotel parking lot is full of other cars, and they're really quiet because no one's gonna go over there and just party. No one's gonna be driving through there with their radio blasting, most likely. It's a good night's sleep, and in the morning, if I need to use a bathroom, I just walk right in and use their downstairs lobby bathroom. Be careful of no parking signs though, whatever you do. If there is a sign in the area that says no overnight parking or a sign that says no parking from like 10 p.m. to like 6 a.m. or something like that, obey it. You will get a knock on your window and you will get asked to move, and no one wants to get a knock at 3 a.m. on their window telling them they have to move along. When you're new to an area, you don't know where else to go, you're half asleep, and for me, I wear contacts, so I'd have to throw on my glasses and it'd just be a big thing. So just obey the signs and you're probably gonna be fine. And this one's not in a city, but you can absolutely usually stay overnight at a rest area. So if you're driving down the highway, maybe going a long road trip somewhere and need a place to stay, but there's not a lot of hotels, you just don't have the money for a hotel, then you could just look at a rest area for the night. Again, just make sure there's no signs there that say you can't stay overnight. If you use Planet Fitness like I do for the showers or another big gym chain like Anytime Fitness, a lot of those are open 24 hours a day. So a lot of times you can park in their parking lot overnight. But I would strongly recommend you just ask the people who work there if that's okay, because some places may have signs that say they don't allow it, or the staff who works there, who actually lives in that area, will also tell you, well, actually, this area has been known to crack down on people staying overnight in their cars, so they don't really recommend that here anymore. And honestly, I've been at a store before, like an REI, getting some things, and it was getting kind of late into the evening, and I just asked the person who worked there, I said, hey, I need to stay here overnight somewhere in this area. Where do you recommend? And so let the person who lives in that area tell you where to go. They're gonna know the area best. I've even just asked a cop before, hey, I'm passing through this area. Where can I stay for the night that I'm gonna feel safe at and no one's gonna bug me? They'll give you a good recommendation. Like my greasy hair? I haven't showered in like 2 days. I've just been sitting here working. All right, speaking of work, I gotta get back to it. I gotta knock out this other project, then do the video for you guys. So that is out tomorrow. So it's not gonna be very exciting the rest of the night, but I'll see you maybe around dinner time. Not a bad sunset. Well, beautiful sunset, but I still gotta do a little more work. I got the lights on the awnings all set up there. And I'm gonna sit here and do a little more work. Got about another 30 minutes or so to wrap it up and I'll do some dinner. So multiple nights I have had mice get into my engine. I've been sitting here in the car at night, like watching a movie or something like that, and I'll hear something and then I'll see a mouse like pop up my engine. So almost every single night I'm in these kind of places, I always spray my engine down with some sort of mouse repellent. I've gone through a couple different variations of it, but this one seems to work the best. I got this one at an Ace hardware store, and so far I think it's working. When I spray it though, I always wear one of these old ratty gloves that I have, because sometimes the spray will get on my fingers and it doesn't smell that great, and it's got to be poison of some sort, right? So I don't like it on my fingers and then have to eat. So I'm about to go spray down my engine right now. So the engine's up. I'm about to spray the engine, and I've already sprayed the wheel well. So I'll spray down here in the wheels. I'll spray up here next to the coil, because I think that's how they usually get up into the engine, is they'll crawl up from the ground and get up from the backside of the tire, and then crawl up like where the shocks are. So I've already sprayed all that earlier. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just spray all in the engine. This one's almost out. I have a whole new one up in the roof box of the car. I've sprayed all up there by the windshield, because that's where they like to pop up. Ugh, this stuff doesn't smell that great. All right, well, I hope you guys are as vested in watching these videos as I am in making them, because it is past 9 o'clock at night and I just got done editing day 3. Actually, I got to throw this clip into day 3, so I'm not quite done yet. It is so late, I did not have time to make a dinner or anything. So I'm doing one of these dehydrated meals. This one's a new one for me. This is by a company called Peak 2, and these are very good. This particular meal is going to be venison country casserole, and I haven't had this particular meal, but the last 2 dehydrated meals I've had by this company have been very good. Like, the taste is amazing, and they have the highest calories. Like, this one is 920 calories, and that's great because I haven't eaten anything since lunch at like 2 o'clock this afternoon, so it's good. But I know this video is kind of boring, but it does show you what I was hoping to get out of this series, which is what it's really like for me day to day. A lot of people show you the highlights of what it's like to live in a van or a car or a vehicle of some sorts. But this series, I really want to chronicle what it's like day to day to day. Yes, some days I get to venture off into a national park or spend all day at a lake or something. Tomorrow I'll be free of work except for my YouTube stuff, so I can show you a little bit more beauty places. But there are days when I get locked down for 3, 4, 5 days just having to work straight. And that's kind of what I wanted to show with this series. It's just really the day-to-day stuff. It's not the most exciting at times to watch, and it's certainly not the most exciting to film, but it at least shows you what it's like daily. And I hope that you got some good information out of this, because I do want people to know how I at least find places to sleep at night. Hopefully you got some good information out of it. Well, I'm starving, about to eat some dinner, so thanks for escaping normal life with me.